a fantastic Christmas or whatever holiday that you may celebrate. And happy Boxing Day to my obnoxious neighbors in the apartment above us. Uh, Welcome to the Associated Guests. I, as always, am your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind channel. Today, we go in with a quick story from Vera Dark about the anti-gamer crusade failing and activists being ratioed. This is what you like to see. Real quick, here's our sponsor, Pierce Morgan, claiming that he's not the bird chick from Home Alone 2. It's not me. I made sure that I reminded him, it's okay, Pierce. We all go through phases. It's okay. It's okay. Just accept it. We all know it's you. We all know it's you. Look at that lady. That's you, Pierce. It's so completely you. Anyway, sorry. I watched too much Muppet stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. Hold on. What is happening? Why does this keep happening? Damn it. Okay. Stand by. I do not know what's happening with my OBS this week. I've had it go down once and not pick up any of my not pick up any of my sound or my microphone twice. But I've got that to where I can fix it immediately if it happens. Okay, got that on that. Let's go over to this. I apologize. Please stand by. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, no. Chat's there. Hey, shapeshifter. God, this sucks. Okay, let's see if that did it.
Media by these activist developers.
Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. All right, hi, welcome back. Take two. Pretend like you haven't been here for the last 3 minutes. Action.
The video game industry has been going through some major changes over the past couple of months between a lot of layoffs, project cancellations, and of course gamers withholding funds from companies that are no longer delivering us high quality experiences. But there is still an anti-gamer narrative being pushed by the access media, by these activist developers, and it is all falling apart. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon.
Does it feel like she's higher than she normally is?
This is very positive.
It was Christmas. I did do a longer stream on Christmas Eve though. It should be there. There's a false start. There's like 50 minutes, and then I had to. Everything went down. Like there was a power flicker at my place, and then everything was fine. I finished the stream in part 2.
Holiday news that gamers are actually winning, and the media, these developers, all
you'd love to see it. You'd love to see it.
Careers, livelihoods, and ultimately their echo chambers are falling apart. They are having a very tough time figuring out how to continue on in this space, which is really interesting because if they were actually passionate, they would find a way. If they were actually talented, they would find a way, but they were hired due to DEI hiring practices. They weren't hired based on merits. And so now they're either being kicked out of the industry or they are struggling to stay in it. All of these access media sites like The Gamer, Kotaku, Polygon, their numbers have dwindled. Their access has actually dwindled because they're not in the good.
No, I'm so sorry about that. The reason I didn't do the video on Christmas Eve was because I was so frustrated by my stream going down about an hour into the initial stream. I just wanted to finish that one video, but I am going to do it. I promise. I'm going to do the Tectone video tomorrow morning. I'm off all weekend, so I'll be doing that, and hopefully some gaming streams. I'll probably even stream tonight. It'll probably be a gaming stream, but I will be more than likely on tonight.
Graces of the companies that are succeeding right now, meaning indies and AA's, and ultimately we are seeing a lot of changes, but the anti-gamer narrative is falling apart. We have seen so many hit pieces on us from The Gamer. We have seen so many Sweet Baby Inc. consultants come out and call us bigots for criticizing them, developers who have been fired over their own actions, blaming us, even companies like Ubisoft attacking us, but it's not working out every single time.
And I've never understood this. Why you would be so against the people who you want to buy your stuff. And I understand them being so big that they can let one game pass that's just for them. Sure, everyone's allowed that. But when you hijack these big names with a built-in fan base, it was bad enough with like the likes of Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed. I think they're the ones that do. They're the ones that do Assassin's Creed, right? But anyway, when they switched the format and it started in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and then you see it even more in Assassin's Creed Origins, to where it's become almost a completely different game. The gameplay is completely shifted, which is fine. People still love it, but there are the purists like myself who only really like the first game, and especially the sequel trilogy of Assassin's Creed. It's wonderful, and I have it on the updated remastered version, and it's so choice. But you can't be against your main moneymakers, like unless you find out that like some terrorist organization or some country is doing like they did on Archer and just buying all the copies of your games. You can't be against your customer base. That defeats the purpose of capitalism. But these people don't believe in capitalism. They're communist. Which communism inherently can't work in the world we live in today. Why would you already don't trust the government, as you shouldn't, and you want to give them all the power and all the means of production. And you trust these people who you already don't trust to run everything. Everything? Everything. It doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense to me.
And we see something like this, we call it out, we point and laugh, and they hold no power in this space anymore, which is phenomenal. Let's start off with this The Gamer article from just a few days ago saying Lords of the Fallen 2 is already cementing itself as a game for all the wrong people. You mean for real gamers. It's fine if you don't like Lords.
That reminds me, I need to get Lords of the Fallen 2. I'll probably skip straight to this one. Just because I'm very behind.
To the Fallen 2. It's fine if you don't like Souls-likes. It's fine if you don't.
Oh, it's
like
a Souls-like.
fantasy
I'm gonna suck at
titles.
it.
But what isn't fine is when you say the audience that is interested in this game is the wrong people, because there are bound to be gamers
and look at
who
this.
purchase Lords of the Fallen 2, who support CI
This
games,
is someone who's
who
penis
aren't
clad.
involved in the culture war, that don't know its backstory, but yet you're going to sit here and lump them all together. But this is just what the left does. If you are not directly with them in pushing their narratives and defending them 100%.
And me, I don't care if narratives are in things. I don't. It's when the narrative takes precedence over story, gameplay, etc. And you can generally, if the story or the gameplay or some kind of mechanics within the game are that good, then nobody cares about the rest. But if you have two of these things, your game's going to be huge. If you have all three of these things, you can pretty much do whatever you want outside of that. That's why GTA 5 was so good. The story was pretty good, the characters were nuts, and the gameplay was on point and very, very delicious. But as long as the characters are good, the story's good, and the gameplay itself, mechanics at all, that's what I was going for when I said it the first time. As long as at least one of those is like, whoa, like it's just, it makes you just feel so good about playing this thing, then that'll get you somewhere. But if you have two of these, then you've got a contender for Game of the Year. If you've got three of these, then you've got an all-time game that never, it never loses its luster over the years. Like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, like, I mean, hell, just the first Last of Us game. But they don't care about any of those things. Most of these games that are supported by the quote-unquote wokesters is games that don't have any of these. Dragon Age 2 had already lost some luster because that's when these people started to, take power, and you could see it in the story and the characters. The gameplay was still, for the most part, there. But if games like Battlefield and Battlefield 2, or sorry, Battlefront? Star Wars Battlefront 2, especially, visually stunning. The music was on point. The story was... the characters were... the gameplay was good, but then you had all the microtransactions and all that bullshit. And of course, I didn't know about this until I'd already opened it.
You are against them, you are an enemy, you are opposed to them, and they will target you. This is just a perfect example of that. But it says Lords of the Fallen 2 publisher CI Games made it blatant back in January that it will steer clear of making its games political or including any social elements or agendas in its future type.
And again, it's okay if those things are in there. This is the last time I'm going to pause. I'm going to let her speak for a little bit. Again, American RPGs have had all of these elements forever, but they were optional. That way, you could play, and you can make your character like you, or you could live in the shoes of someone else. You had those options. You could make your character male, female, gay, straight, whatever. It was all there. Now, if you wanted to have your character be gay or a lesbian, it took a little more doing, because at that time in history, it took a little more doing, okay? From what my gay friends tell me. I mean, because obviously it wasn't as accepted as it is now, where they beat you over the head if you even say the word with any kind of derogatory context. But that's what I'm saying. All this was always there, and people didn't give a shit because it's freedom. The original, pretty much every BioWare game, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1, the first two Mass Effects until EA got in there and fucked it all up and down. The first two Dragon Age games, fantastic. You had all of the things, all of the options, and the peak graphical fidelity for those times. And that's why they're still played to this day. Some of these games that are 10, 15, 20 years old still get more play than Concord, for instance. Or not Concord. Concord's been canceled. You know what I mean, though. Games of that ilk.
Such as running a high of pushing audiences away, and it would rather focus on serious games featuring stuff like sexy, scantily clad women. Whatever you want, I guess, just make sure to wash your hands when you're done. Just because we want to see
I will.
characters in our games doesn't make us gooners or losers.
And even if you are, okay, and I think it's gross, okay, jacking off to games is fine, even though there were games specifically made for that. Like, who cares? Who cares what you do with it when you get done with it? I know plenty of lesbians who love the same kind of stuff that I loved when I was a young man, like when I was a teenage gooner or whatever. Who cares? But then I also know a lesbian or two who, when they were watching Ghost Ship, they were like, "Oh, that little girl's going to grow up to be hot," and I'm just like, "Okay, whatever." I'm not going to say her name, but
entire
Yeah.
narrative at this point. This deliberately ignores diverse and inclusive successes like Baldur's Gate 3, which went on to sell 20 million copies, and cherry picks high profile cases like Concord to justify the belief that the inclusion of queer characters and unconventionally attractive women makes a title fail. I think it's so hilarious that they say, oh, CI Games is cherry picking high profile cases like Concord to justify the belief that inclusion of queer characters makes a title fail, when
Not the inclusion, the force feeding.
what they are doing is cherry picking one example of a title that happened to feature queer characters that was successful, aka Baldur's Gate 3. They're not giving any other examples.
Baldur's Gate followed the same rough draft, the same structure of the games I mentioned in my previous interruption. Okay, Baldur's Gate is the way it used to be, the way Western games used to dominate the gaming space. It just shows the old pattern works, okay? You can have the option to be gay, straight, queer, whatever you want to be. And I know plenty of straight people who take that option sometimes, mostly gooners, mostly being lesbians. Not me, but me. But that's what I'm saying. Again, it's the freedom. If you give your players great gameplay, a great story, great characters, and the freedom to make your character as customizable as possible, both aesthetically and, their sexuality or whatever, and any other option that you give them in there. To an extent, okay, a lot of people don't like games like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to where you have to eat, and some people like it even more. It immerses you in that world. Red Dead Redemption 2 is another one.
Because, newsflash, there really aren't many at all. It's an existing argument that very small yet very loud corners of the game development world cling to with unwavering ignorance. Just because you have a developer who doesn't believe in what you believe in and doesn't want to push the narratives you want to push, that doesn't make him evil, that doesn't make him terrible, and that doesn't mean you should boycott their experience. What they're really mad at.
And that's the thing. No one wants to boycott trans people. No one wants to boycott gay people. No one wants to boycott women or any other race or anything like that. They just want the freedom to make and play whatever games that they want. Okay, and some people, and the really shitty thing was Ubisoft announces after they put a black samurai in a game based in Japan instead of, a Japanese samurai. They said that they were going to cancel a Ubisoft game set around the Civil War in America that was basically Django Unchained. That sounds dope as shit. Everyone in the world, that's a 10 out of 10. As long as you do it right, maybe get Tarantino to help you with some notes here and there, that's a 10 out of 10. You have that in your hands. Do not cancel that. Cancel the fucking Assassin's Creed Hex bullshit with the Salem Witch chicks.
Is how they're saying that...
and make that its own game. Again, I do not want censorship. I want games to make sense within a genre. Witches does not make sense in the fucking Assassin's Creed universe. But would I play a game called Hex or the Salem 3 or whatever the fuck they would call it if it wasn't an Assassin's Creed game? 100%. I would play that shit as long as it didn't suck like Agatha all along.
In his pursuit to remove progressive politics and ideas from the game, aka Body Type 1 and 2, Tyminski has only gone and made Lords of the Fallen 2 political all over again. How ironic. It is not political to believe that male and female are the only two genders that exist. It is not political to believe that choosing male and female is more sane than body type A and B or 1 and 2. It is absolutely insane that they put out an entire hit piece talking about how bigoted the player base is, how terrible people are, for simply wanting normalcy in their entertainment again. They are just very upset by the fact that they are no longer being listened to, that companies are no longer caving to their demands, and that ultimately they are not getting their way 100% of the time. This goes for Sweet Baby Inc. as well. The narrative consultant just a few days ago dismissed critics as cis white men opposed to diversity. They do not want to acknowledge the existence of women in the space like myself, Madam Savvy, Toasty, Wicked Virtue, because that would also break their narrative. There are plenty of women that are opposed to them, and I'm sure that there are many people who are not cis white men that are opposed to them as well, because their business strategy fucking sucks and the content they're creating absolutely sucks. It has nothing to do with you and your race and your gender. If you are not good at your job, you do not deserve to have that job, and all Sweet Baby Inc. has done is helped ruin games. And I do also blame the developers that actually worked with them, because the studios hiring them should have been better at their jobs in the first place as well. But ultimately, SBI is not helping. They are only hurting this industry. There's plenty of diversity in games. There always has been, and there always will be. And people are sick of forced diversity when it is done naturally, when it is done in a good way.
When it's done not to check boxes and not to virtue signal and not to stand there and bask in your own bullshit clout, then it's a wonderful thing. Diversity is never frowned upon. As she said, forced diversity is. When you have to have a certain percentage of whatever, because it only works in one direction. And nobody even wants it to work in all directions, okay? Make whatever movie you want to make. And yes, there should be more black filmmakers and more black actors and all this. And Hispanic and Asian and whatever, okay? But if you limit trans people to just play trans people, that's not going to work out for them. The same if you limit straight people to just play, straight people. But that's what they want. They want straight people to just play straight people, and only trans can play trans, but they want trans to be able to play straight people. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now, voice actor, sure, whatever voice you can do. If you can get to the voice that they want for that character, whatever. I don't care. I do not care. No one cares that Kratos is voiced by a black dude. Okay. Everyone's loved that guy since Stargate SG-1.
When it makes sense to a story, most people don't call it out. Most people are perfectly fine with that. But all you want to do is inject your politics.
Why didn't I say his name? Because I don't know his name. I just recognize his face and his voice because, damn, it's very notable.
Personal beliefs into an experience, and it's going to be rejected every single freaking time. Luckily, we do have people like Merrick Tominsky who are willing to come out and call out these hit pieces on gamers, saying that this year we've talked directly to you to shape Lords of the Fallen 2,
yes.
But according to the gamer, you're
as
the
you
wrong
should.
type of gamer, and
actual gamers are the wrong type of gamer.
To attack my player base, and that is ridiculous, and you love to see
good man
that
right
happening.
There. Hell yeah, you
This
do.
company has tried their best over the past year to actually listen to their paying customers, which is something companies need to do a hell of a lot more. But
and people will buy this game and play this game even if they weren't planning to anyway, for that very reason, because it's made by someone who's here for gamers, for his customer base, for his fan base. That's what you're supposed to do. When you're in entertainment, unless you're just some street artist who is fine with being a street artist forever and ever, always, amen, that's what you're supposed to do. You want to draw a crowd. You want people, and even street performers, you want people to notice you, especially if you have something to say. The best part is to teach people things without them knowing they're being taught. Subtext.
Case of Sweet Baby Inc. as well, the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Steam list has 479,000 followers, right under that 500K mark. It is very clear that real gamers are sick and tired of activists taking over this industry, and that is why so many of these Sweet Baby Inc. projects have been failures. It's why so many titles with like-minded developers have come out and have not done good, and even ones that haven't released yet have been called out, like Rise of the Deceiver and also Reloaded. But There's so many examples of this happening. Just a few months ago, we saw the Charlie Kirk situation happen, which was absolutely terrible. So many individuals in the games industry mocking it, laughing at it, and these developers who did ultimately get fired for their own actions and for their own statements blamed us, blamed gamers, blamed YouTubers for holding them accountable. I've said it multiple times and I will continue to say it. I would not call for these people to be fired,
No.
but I also will not run to their defense because ultimately they are the ones who have also stood and also said, yeah, YouTubers deserve to be kicked off of platforms. Oh, gamers don't deserve to have games made for them anymore. Oh, if you're a conservative, you should be kicked out of the video game industry because you are a
and that is
threat.
yo,
I'm
Dub
not
Duke
going to
Nukem.
stand with cancel culture. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yes, fire them in droves. But I'm also not going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to rally for you to get your
And this is where I'm torn. Look, I'm not of the mind of someone being fired for what they believe in or what side of the aisle they are on any political issues or anything to that effect. However, for those of you in the working class, you know, especially if you're wearing your work uniform somewhere, you represent that company. Which is why I don't have the name of the company that I work for on any of the clothes I wear there. Excuse me. Because I don't want it coming back to them, and I certainly don't want to be fired for anything I might get into outside of work. Same thing with these people. All these people have the fact that they work for, what is it, Sucker Punch? On their X profiles. And they mock the death of Charlie Kirk. They call for the deaths of people who disagree with them online. And that's not okay. So should they get fired? Yeah, of course. Because when they say these things, just because they're well liked in the community that they come from, as far as the customer base goes, these are not very popular opinions, okay? You have to see outside your own echo chamber. And if your echo chamber is that much smaller than the chamber to which you're trying to penetrate, shut the fuck up.
your job back. You deserve it back. They constantly say, oh, this isn't cancel culture, it's accountability culture. But
It is.
now that we're playing by their rules, oh no, they don't like that. Ubisoft also blamed players for buying fewer games and not its own misfire.
People are buying fewer games because they all suck. If you look at the stats, people are still playing games. They're just playing older games. Look on Steam, look on any of these things that show everything that people are playing, okay? People are playing games that were made pre-COVID. A lot of people are playing games that were made pre-2015 because games, while looking and sounding fantastic in most cases, suck these days.
Which is just so funny to see. But yes, gamers are
Exactly. And do not misconstrue. Freedom of speech is so that you don't get arrested by the government. As far as freedom of consequence, freedom of speech does not apply to your job, okay? I can't go and tell my boss to fuck himself at work and expect to keep my job. Now, if you have that kind of relationship, whatever, and you don't do it in front of, subordinates or whatever, y'all are just sitting there talking, he says something, and you're like, oh, fuck off, boss. That's one thing. But if you do it in front of everybody, your job's probably forfeited. You'll get written up or whatever, put in, the modern-day version of the stockades, for all I know. But you won't be arrested for it unless you start becoming belligerent, screaming, kicking, and throwing things. But freedom of consequence, a lot of companies have social media policies, even companies that don't have a social media presence. You couldn't see me telling anyone to fuck off? Oh, stick around. If my channel gets any bigger, and also my presence on X, I do it all the time. It's hilarious.
rejecting these companies and these activists' attacks time and time again, and you love to see it. A lot of them are struggling right now, a lot of them are going through major problems, and really, I can't say that I feel all that bad. They're getting what they deserve.
Yes.
So I'm sure.
And that's the end of the video. Look, a lot of these companies like Ubisoft had to at least sell half of their stock and company to China. That's why EA is selling to, I think it was Saudi Arabia. A lot of these countries and entertainment companies specifically are selling to China, to Middle Eastern countries. And America is losing out. Are they keeping their American developers? Some. But these people live in countries that are way more strict than any right-wing person you could ever imagine in America, okay? They may let you get away with some of your stuff for now because they love a little irreverence, but if it ever goes to the next level, you might see all the things that you feared the American right-wing doing from these, and they're very right-wing, trust me. China, Saudi Arabia still has slaves, for God's sake, okay? So does China. China still has concentration camps, but we won't get into that for today. But that's the thing. You don't want to push things into the corner to where you actually get the kind of resistance that you've been fearing and why you've been pushing them down the way that you have. People should just learn to coexist and live. I said it to conservatives, I'll say it to liberals, and I'll say it to you. But that's all I got for today. I've got to get out of here. I've got one more day this week and then back to my weekend. Scary Mask Shapeshifter, always a pleasure. Dub Duke Nukem over on Kick. Very great to see you. Guys, for those of you watching now and in the future, please go and follow me on Rumble so I can start posting some things over there. I just have a few more people I need to follow me on there, and then I can start posting. Well, live streaming at least. And then again, here in the next month or two, I am going to stop having as much live content on YouTube. It'll mostly be for VOD content or edited clips. And then most of my stuff will be on Kick, Twitch, and Rumble. Gaming specifically on Twitch, politics specifically on Rumble, and then I'll probably still have both on Kick. And then put promotional videos on YouTube. And this will be a clip channel and a VOD channel for the most part. But I want to thank all of you for being here. You guys are fantastic. It means the world to me that you're here. Drop a like. And if you know anyone who would like to watch this, share it somewhere. And then preferably not with anyone that knows me in real life. At least not until I get to the point where I can support myself doing this, which should be next year. Thank you all very much, and we will see you